Hi, my name is Jackie and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things tea. Today is a Friday, which means it is time for another Fandom Friday. So today I'm bringing you a blend from a rather silly fandom, and I don't really know if this is like a fandom per se, but more of like a series of blends based on an observation. So over on Adagio Teas, one of the fandom blenders, Anjuli Riddle, who does blends based on Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, she also has like a little mini collection, the Mini Deaths of the Mini Beans. And it is 4 blends inspired by the deaths of the characters played by Sean Bean. So today I am bringing you a blend called All of the Arrows, and it is a blend inspired by the death of Boromir from The Lord of the Rings. All of the Arrows is a blend of the Tiger Eye tea, which is chocolate and caramel, and from what I understand is quite the fan favorite, as well as the cinnamon tea. And the ingredients include black tea, cinnamon, caramel flavor, cinnamon flavor, cocoa nibs, chocolate flavor, and vanilla flavor, and it's accented with rainbow sprinkles. I love the smell of this blend. It smells pretty chocolatey, with some sweet caramel notes. I don't really get too much cinnamon from this. I feel like it's kind of hard to go wrong when Adagio's Tiger Eye is the base of a tea. It's a really nice cocoa caramel tea. And like the cocoa, I feel like I've said this a lot lately, but the chocolate notes are not like in your face. So if you're somebody who's not a fan of chocolate, this might be a tea that's worth checking out. It's not overly prominent. I kind of think that the Tiger Eye leans a little bit more caramel, which is a personal favorite of mine. Like, I really love Adagio's caramel tea. As for the cinnamon, I don't really notice it that much when I drink this unsweetened, but when I add a little bit of sugar, I do notice a little bit of warmth, a little bit of cinnamon flavor coming through. And this in general is a tea that I prefer sweetened anyways. I also happen to think that a little bit of sugar helps to draw out some of that delicious caramel flavoring. So when I think of All of the Arrows, well, I guess first off, let me tell you, I was obsessed with The Lord of the Rings back in middle school and high school, back when the films were being released. I was obsessed. So when Fellowship of the Ring was released, I watched that movie no less than 15 times in the first year of its release, and 3 of those times were in theaters. So the first time I saw it, if I'm not mistaken, it was like Christmas Day, and my family took me to go see it. And my mom fell asleep, and I wouldn't be surprised if my dad fell asleep too, but I was immediately just mesmerized by this epic fantasy tale being played out in front of me. And I just remember like somebody had brought a little kid to the theater, like he must have been like 5 or 6 years old. And the scene where the Balrog, drags Gandalf down off the bridge of Khazad-dûm, like right before Gandalf like slips and is like, "Fly, you fools," the little kid just screams, "Gandalf, no!" Oh, my heart. I hope that little boy healed. But I kind of also felt the same. So like, I saw the movie the first time, immediately like convinced my friend Jessica that we had to go see this movie because it was just gonna blow her mind. So we went to go see it, and like she was hooked immediately. So she and I were like fangirling forever. And then we finally convinced like another one of our friends, Grace, to go see this movie with us for a third time. Well, it was my third time, it was her second time. And it would have been like right before Lord of the Rings was like exiting the theaters. That first movie, The Fellowship of the Rings, was exiting the theaters. So we basically had the theater all to ourselves. And we get to the scene where like Boromir is being shot up by the Uruk-hai, and like it takes them forever to pass. She got so impatient, she's just like, "Just die already!" Like right in the middle of the theater. And did we ever go see movies with her again? I don't know. But that's all I think about whenever I look at this tin, is her just screaming out in the middle of the theater for Boromir, poor Boromir, to die. It's been a really long time since I have visited Middle Earth. Like back in high school and middle school, it used to be a monthly rewatch for me. Probably because because it was so new, and I was like in the throes of my obsession with the movies and the story. Well, mostly the movies. I was like 13, I think, when the first movie was released. And while I did try to read the books, Tolkien's writing style is pretty like slow and descriptive. And I, at 13 years old, just did not have the patience for it. So I got all the way to the third book. And that's also including The Hobbit, but I ended up giving up on the third book. Now that I'm older and hopefully a little bit more patient, I thought it would be really cool to like revisit the book. I tried rereading it probably like 5 years ago. When John and I moved into our house, I lost the book. So I bought myself a new one, and it's so much prettier than my old book. My old books I bought, well, like when the movies were released, so they just had they had like the movie actors on the front cover of it. I love that this has the little like entryway to the Mines of Moria on it. It's pretty. I'm really excited. So I personally am looking forward to a good session with some good books and tea, some All the Arrows, and some Fellowship of the Ring. However, first I gotta finish this tome, The Body by Bill Bryson. Bill Bryson, this is a nonfiction book. Bill Bryson is like my favorite nonfiction author. So I'm like digressing. If you like nonfiction and you haven't heard of Bill Bryson, check him out. He does a lot of travel writing, but he also obviously just did this book on the human body. He also has a short history of nearly everything, which is just like, he looks at the world from the Big Bang to modern day and all the different kind of like science fields, from physics to chemistry, biology, archaeology, paleontology, that kind of stuff. He also has a book about like the English language and how it's developed, and a book about Shakespeare. So he's cool. I gotta finish reading that before I dive into this. I'm trying to do this thing where like I don't start all of the books, because then I just never finish them. I'm such a slow reader. Like I'm only on page 150 of like a 400-page book, and I just keep letting myself get distracted by like YouTube and rewatching The Office for the umpteenth time. So I'll get here eventually. I'm gonna have to buy myself some more Lord of the Rings fandom tins though. But now I wanna hear from you. Are you a fan of the Lord of the Rings? And if you are, I mean, do you prefer the books or do you prefer the movies? I would say like at this point right now, I am a bigger fan of the movies, mostly because the movies were my gateway into Middle Earth. Let me know in the comment box below though which one you prefer. And as usual, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing so that you do not miss any of my tea reviews or my Fandom Fridays or whatever else tea related shenanigans I get up to. Tap that subscribe button if you don't want to miss that. And I hope to see you guys again next week for another Fandom Friday. All right, bye.